we had gotten 2 days worth of snow here in the Texas Panhandle. It started snowing on Friday afternoon on and off up until about Sunday morning, but it's been too cold, so it's just taking a long time to dry out. But today I want to be giving y'all some tips on how to drive in the snow or in slippery conditions in an 18-wheeler. So the first tip, whenever you're driving in the snow or in slippery conditions, you got to slow down. So if you look at our gauge here, it's showing 26 degrees. And that is just a steady temperature. That's not the wind chill. And usually, especially on bridges, if the wind chill is 10 degrees, that means moisture, which is the snow in this case, is going to be 10 degrees. So it is going to freeze over. So you really just want to cruise. You don't want to be trying to haul ass, especially on roads like this, because then that's when you'll start hydroplaning or skidding. You'll end up in the ditch. Also, guys, this is part of y'all's pre-trip, but please do not be lazy and fill this thing up. This is your windshield washer fluid reservoir. Fill it up before you leave the yard, because you don't want a bunch of crap across your windshield to where you can't see, and you can end up hurting somebody or hurting yourself. Next thing is no sudden movements, no sudden braking or turning. This curve right here is notorious for putting people in the ditch. And this is on Highway 87, about 3 miles north of Crest. So when you're coming up to curves or turns, you don't want to be too aggressive. Same thing whenever you're accelerating. You don't need to be flooring it, because then your truck will start zigzagging and you'll end up on the side of the road. So just like I'm doing now, just accelerate slowly and be in control. Obviously you see the patches of snow and ice coming up. Keep the wheels straight. And even more important, you got to be vigilant of traffic up ahead. So in this case, there's no traffic. I can go about 40 miles per hour. We should be good. But if there was cars ahead going slow or on the side of the road, I'd slow it down to about 20 miles per hour. Now, another tip is do not set your cruise control. Your ankle will get tired holding this consistent speed for the next however many miles, and you might want to set the cruise control. But what will happen is if you set it at 40 and your speed drops down to 38, 39, the computer thinks that you need to accelerate, and it'll give you, 100% of acceleration, which could put you in a skid. And usually, if that happens, the cruise control will shut off on its own. But then again, it might be a second too late, and you don't want to risk it. So I'd rather have a sore ankle than end up in the ditch. So we're approaching this curve. Just keep a consistent acceleration, not too aggressive. Don't turn aggressively. Don't press on your brakes aggressively. Just ride it all the way through. And we're good. Another thing you want to look for is when you're approaching a curve, you want to be looking ahead and making sure there's no wrecks or any parked cars on the other side of that curve. If there is, you need to start slowing down about 15 miles per hour in these kind of conditions ahead of time. You don't want to do it in the curve. You want to do it ahead of the curve and start slowing down. So if you need to veer around wrecked vehicles, or if you need to pull off to the side of the road if there's a big snow drift, you'd be going at a speed to where you can control that. So on one of my earlier videos, I talked about you needed patience if you want to become a truck driver, and this is a good example of that. You might see other trucks flying by, 60 miles per hour, and it's going to make you want to do that. Now I'm going to tell you a story about when I saw that happen about 10 miles north of Quanah, Texas, back in 2023 during a snowstorm. It's about this time of year, and I saw FedEx, RL carriers, I forgot who else, but there was about 4 or 5 trucks flying by me, and I was doing about 30. They were all doing about 50, 60. And the north end of Quanah, there's a very sharp curve there, and I knew it was coming. And they passed me about 7 miles north of Quanah, or 10 miles around there. And by the time we got to Quanah, I saw every single one of those trucks, pressed up against each other in the ditch. So that's a good example on why you need to be patient, because if I would have got comfortable and sped up with them, I would have been there stuck with them. All right, so we're coming up to a turn. Remember, just be patient. No sudden movement. There's a car coming up behind me too. I'm gonna turn slowly, because what'll happen is your truck's going to try to veer off that direction. Steady acceleration. Just like that. Also, guys, depending on the situation, you're going to want to use your differential lock. It'll keep your wheels turning whenever you're going through some thick snow or mud. So in this situation, I got my axle locked. Another tip is when you're coming up to a stop sign, you got to start slowing down early, especially at this angle, because I'm kind of pointed downhill. Sometimes you'll press your brakes and your truck will keep skidding forward until it gets stopped. I've heard of people putting chains on their tires or adding extra weight to the front of the truck. If you're having to do that just to get down the road, I think you're better off just parking. Same thing if you're driving straight down the road and your trailer starts sliding off to the ditch, or if you're just zigzagging going 10 miles per hour, I think it's best if you just park it. There's no need to put yourself or anybody else at risk. But yeah, guys, that'll be it for this video. Just a couple of tips on how I get around in slippery and snowy conditions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see y'all later.